Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of Blk and Barred. It's your host, Abby B, and today I'm feeling extremely excited because yet again, I have another NCCU alum, a good friend of mine, Attorney Bryan Sumner in the building. Welcome on the show, Bryan. I'm excited to have you here. As y'all know, I went to NCCU Law, which produces the best attorneys known to the man. And I have had the privilege of being in community with Bryan and several of his dynamic classmates. I think I graduated 1 year before you. Is that right?
Yeah, 1 year.
Okay. Yeah, and so class ahead, and I've gotten just the opportunity. I try to stay in contact with a lot of people that we were in school with, just because I want to know like how people are doing in life and want to stay in contact. And so I've gotten a peek into your journey recently, and we've talked. So Bryan, thank you for agreeing to come onto the show. If you could tell the people a little bit about who you are, how long you've been practicing law, and what it is that you do, I would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, so first, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to, share my piece. I graduated from Central in 2019, so I've been practicing just that 6 years now, um, primarily in employment litigation, but I started out in real estate. So I made that switch maybe after 2 years, been doing litigation ever since. And I'm currently at a defense-based firm in Raleigh. So that's where I primarily practice, just in the Raleigh-Durham area. Sometimes travel a little bit outside of that to, the eastern parts of the state. But that's generally it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And before we hop into today's topic, I want to talk to you a little bit about that switch from like the transactional side of practice into the litigation. Like, how would you describe that? Do you like it better with litigating? Did you prefer more transaction-based work? How has that transition been for you?
Yeah, so the transition was not super difficult, but it did require a mindset shift.
Yeah,
Um, transactional work, once you do it a couple of times, virtually it's the same. I mean, you get some nuances here and there, but overall it's the same. Um, but then with litigation, you kind of have to tackle every single case a little bit differently, even if the facts are extremely similar.
yeah,
Um, just because those nuances you may have never seen before. So it wasn't difficult, but it was intentional.
yeah.
So making sure that, you have the attention to detail focused on the right area of whatever it is that's going on in front of you.
Yeah, I find myself right now, I'm actually making the opposite kind of shifting out of like full base litigation into more transactional work just because I need a little bit of a slowdown. I want the predictability of transactional work because for the past 5 years I've only done litigation and primarily in federal court, and it is you never know what you're going to get, even if it's
Yeah.
the same type of case, like what you were saying a second ago. Like, you still have to approach every case differently, and it's like a whirlwind.
Yeah, it is. It is. The federal side of it is it has its pros and cons. Like there's a lot more that goes into federal litigation practice,
Yeah,
but I actually feel like it's a little bit more streamlined and less
yeah,
chaotic than state court.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, you're right. It is taxing to say the least.
for
So
sure.
I think finding a good balance is ideal in
Yeah.
my opinion. I'm not there yet, but I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, that's one of the balances that I'm trying to strike right now. My practice, I do a lot of business work, which is mostly transactional. A lot of my business clients aren't going to court.
Right.
And then I also still take a civil rights case here and there. But then criminal laws, all litigation based. And so um, I'm trying to strike that balance right now.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your experience with that. So let's get into it. Today, we
All
are
right.
talking about something that I'm excited about. I have a lot of actual mixed emotions about it. And I'm so glad that you expressed interest in this too, especially because you can share a different perspective as a dad. We are talking about lawyering while parenting. Because it is a beast of a different nature, honey. I was not prepared. They don't teach you this part in law school.
Right. That is a fact. That is a fact.
So let's just get into it. I have a couple questions that I want to ask you and just get your perspective because I know you have a daughter, I have a son, and your child is older. I have a toddler. And so I've only been in the game for 4 years. And so I started practicing law before I had a son and knew what that was like, much slower. And then I had my son and was like full throttle. But you, like, if I can remember correctly, like your daughter was at the law school, like
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
young. So you
Yes.
had a child throughout the full tenure of your legal experience, which is huge.
Right.
So the first question that I have is just I want to hear what it's like. Like, what is a day in the like life for you as a parent, as you are navigating the legal profession and navigating practice in law? What is it? What does the day by day look like?
So it has changed drastically over the years, right? My daughter is 11, turning 12 in January. So we are very much in the prepubescent, preteen, that whole phase. And so on a daily basis, it's I wake up to get ready for work. She's already up, clothes on, lunch packed, downstairs watching TV. The caveat with that is all of those things are done, but she doesn't have her shoes on, or she hasn't brushed her hair, or her bed's not made. So it's the little things that you have to be like, okay, go back and do that before we leave the house. And then during the day, it's actually pretty easy going because she's in school.
Yeah.
And I I wouldn't say that I have any difficulty with her being in school. It's afterwards where I'm picking her up from school and we get in the car. There's a million questions about what we can do, about can she have her phone? Can she have her iPad? Can she watch TV? Does she have homework? Has she done her classwork? All of those things, like we have legitimate conversations where I have to be focused on the conversation because if not, then I'm gonna hear about it later. Then
Yep.
we get home. What's for dinner? Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I play volleyball? Can I go do this? And that's
Yeah.
every day. And then I have to go back to work afterwards, after doing the homework, after eating dinner, and then logging back into my computer, you know, not being able to watch a movie or anything like that. It's it is very regimented, but still chaotic
Yeah.
because you never know. Now that she's old enough to have a phone, I might get a call in the middle of the day because she forgot a book at home, or she didn't have, or she forgot to pack her lunch, which I don't know how we do that, but you know, just things like that. I'm like, okay, I got to stop what I'm doing, run to Subway, grab something to eat, take it over to the school. She's gonna be done by the time I get there, but kids got to eat. Um, so yeah, it's very regimented, but still very chaotic on a
Yeah.
daily basis.
Yeah, and the reality is, right? Like we were taught this in law school, the law is a jealous mistress. And so trying to balance, I mean, you just said it, like you have to log back in after parenting. And, this is no shade to like people without kids, but they just don't know how simple life is
It's so much simpler.
when you
So
are
much.
only responsible for self. And see, me, my life is flipped because my son is young. He can't get himself dressed and ready and up and going, right? So
Yeah,
my days start at about 5:30. In order for me to get up and work out, I have to get up before he does, before my husband does, before all the things start. So I get up, I go to the gym at 6. I'm back by 7:15. My son is awake at 7:30. I'm
right.
getting him up. I'm like, first of all, getting him out of bed on most days, he's so dramatic, so slow. He's not here for it. I'm like, you are 4. Life is not that stressful. I'm getting him up out of bed. I'm getting him dressed. I have to wash his face. I have to brush his teeth. Like I have to do all these little things for and with him. I have to get him downstairs. I have to get him breakfast. And this routine is from about 7:30 to 8:30 every morning. And then I'm like, okay, now I can shift, focus on myself. Now I can take a shower. Now I can get dressed and start the day and all the things. And I thankfully don't work in an office. I work 100% remote because if I did, like, I was never getting to anybody's office by 9 o'clock with
Yeah.
with that kind of schedule. It was never going to happen. And then he goes to school. He goes to daycare now, but I can remember a time where he was born during COVID. The daycare options were very sparse, and when they weren't, I was too scared to send him back because daycare cooties naturally like are crazy. I can remember a time when I was practicing law with my son being at home with me, and I was going to Zoom court with him, like I'm breastfeeding him. I have the camera angled so you can only see from neck up, but he's home with me and I'm breastfeeding. Like that
Mhm.
was once a time for me because COVID was so crazy, and he was home with me, and so the day to day looks different. Like I have to shift if the daycare calls and says that he's sick, which is very frequent.
Right. Right. Yeah. So I don't have to do the daycare aspect of it, but like it was the same for me. So I have transitioned to working from home
Yeah,
because we lived far enough from her school that the traffic made it about an hour and 15 minutes when it was usually a 20-minute drive.
yeah.
So I would have to be up out of the house by 6 o'clock, 6:15 in order to make it to school at carpool on time around 7:30,
Sheesh.
7:45, and then go to work 8 o'clock till 5 o'clock, pick her up from after school care, go home, eat dinner, do homework. At that point, it's 8, 9 o'clock at night. Then I'm logging back in to finish working at 11, 12 o'clock. So I sleep, quote unquote, from 12 to 4:30, 5 o'clock and get up and do it again. I couldn't do it. I couldn't run like that. So, and I don't require a lot of sleep to begin with, but that was just insane.
Yeah, that is
Um, Switching to like defense litigation work. Um, but yeah, over time it has changed because I still remember the days when she and it was okay, you don't have anywhere to be, but I do, so you can just tag along and do whatever. Didn't
yeah,
have to worry much. And then, kindergarten, first grade started, and it's like, okay, you're still not doing a whole lot because these are your formative years. I'll make sure you know your ABCs and your one, two, threes, and you can go do whatever. But as it progresses, kids are so malleable and those formative years are so important that as a lawyer, I was not going to allow myself to skip out on that for the sake of practicing.
yep,
So I had to balance it extremely, extremely difficult, difficultly by making sure that whatever it is that I was doing during the day had 100% of my focus because I knew when I left, law was going to get
yep,
0 to 10% of my focus. And so that's how it's been. And Keenan she was born in 2014, so well before COVID, but I started practicing the
yeah,
6 months before COVID. And so what I learned was drastically different from what I had to do.
yep.
So that just added another layer to figuring out as you go, which is all parenting is.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
parenting is, and realistically, is all the parenting, the practice in law is too. Like, we're learning, we're practicing, we're learning by doing. Um,
Right.
and something that you said a second ago just really stuck with me. You said that as a parent, like you were not going to miss those formative years, and that's exactly how I feel. And realistically, that was a part of the reason why I decided to go solo because what I'm learning is the legal profession is a little bit not understanding, not at every firm when it comes to these
Right.
the life of a parent. And I feel like sometimes it's nearly impossible to give my job 100% and my mothering 100%. Not to mention I have a spouse and so do you. Like you have to pour into all of these relationships. And I learned that like a lot of the people at my firm, their kids were tablet kids. They just hand their kid a tablet so that they can keep working. That's not how I parent. I am a
Right.
limited screen time parent because there are certain things that are important for me. I know the psychological impacts of handing your child a tablet 24/7. Like I want him to
Mhm.
be able to communicate. I want him to be able to talk. And I know that there were people that are pushed back and be like, my child learns through the tablet. Okay, whoop-de-doo, that's on you. That's not how I want to parent. And so learning again that the law was a jealous mistress and was not going to be accepting of that, that was a part of the driving force, a part of many other reasons why I decided to just be my own boss. As a parent in the law, I realized that that wasn't necessarily going to be my experience. Okay.
Right.
So with that, I think we're kind of segueing into another question is, do you feel like the legal profession supports working parents or not? Based upon your experience and your the 6 years that you've been in the law, in the legal profession, have you felt supported or do you feel like it's not necessarily as supportive as you would like?
Ooh, that is a really good question. And my answer is twofold. Because when I started litigating specifically,
Mhm.
I was at a small boutique firm, um, Black owned, also a Central alum. And the understanding was so great for me as a parent
Yeah.
that I could leave in the middle of the day. I mean, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and leave, do something that I needed to do with Keenan, either come back or not, and they understood.
Yeah.
There was never a question about, Brian, why are you leaving at noon? Or why are you leaving at 2 o'clock? I'm leaving at noon because my kid's nose is bleeding at school, or I'm leaving at 2:30 because after school care is not running today and they get out of school at 2:40, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
There was never a question. Flip side, I went to a bigger firm, and the question is, well, what is it that you do during the day because you can work around being a parent? Everybody, a lot of us have kids. I didn't necessarily agree with that mindset, because, like you mentioned, those children, and no shade to their parents or the children themselves, those children are tablet kids. Like they are occupied by something that is not the parenting relationship.
Yeah.
My kid is not like that. I would much rather be present, even if it's in the middle of the day, because she will remember me being present more than she will remember what she watched on the iPad.
Yeah.
And so my kid is also the oldest out of all the attorneys in our office. My kid is the oldest one out of all of them. So it goes back to what we were talking about before with, occupying the kids so they can continue working. I watched someone in my office hand a marker to their 4-year-old and a whiteboard, and the kid was occupied for an hour and a half. I'm like, I wish, because my kid, being older, is going to ask me, what is it that we're doing? Why are we here? What are you talking about? When can we go do this? When can we go do that? And those are all valid questions from a kid because they don't know what it's like to work. They're children, right? So at the end of the day, if all that's on her mind is watching a movie with me when I get home, okay, I'm probably going to be watching a movie when I get home. I'm not going to be working. Um, and so I think that answers the question,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like, the more corporate you get into practicing,
Yeah.
the less understanding there is.
Yeah.
And that's not to say you can't be successful either way, but I have found that the larger firms, the corporate areas, treat parents very well when their child is first born.
Yeah.
Leave, a lot of places are doing, parental leave for both the mother and father now.
Yeah.
Cool. After that's up,
Get back to
okay, welcome back.
get back
Welcome
to
back. The bottom line needs you, right? But as far as like the smaller firms, even like solo attorneys that I know who are also parents, they make the time for their kids. There's one firm I'm aware of, they close their office at 1 o'clock on Fridays because they all have small children. They're like, yeah, it's a Friday. I have kids. Maybe we want to go to the park. Maybe we want to go to the movies. I'm like, okay, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Um, but that's generally what it's like. It's like a I have experienced it where the smaller the firm is or the smaller the setting is,
Yeah.
the more understanding there is. The larger it is, the more it's kind of like you're a number.
Yeah.
You took your parental leave, your maternal leave, whatever, and now you're back. Okay, pick up like you never left.
Exactly. Yeah, and I also think it depends on who's there too. Because I worked for an extremely small firm, black owned, only one other attorney, but she didn't have kids. So she didn't
Mhm.
understand. She's just like, all right, how long you gonna do this? And it's always something like, and they kind of see it as like you're making an excuse. And it's like,
Yeah,
no, I literally just can't. Like my kid is gonna come before you every time.
every time.
And that just is what it is. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but the
Yeah,
reality is she didn't have children. She was an older black woman and never had kids. And so she did not get the stop, drop, and roll. But in reality, that's what it is as a parent. You have to do what you got to do for your kids.
right.
And I'm gonna be real with you, Brian. I feel like you are not the average dad. Like, you are an above and beyond dad. That is just what it is. That's just how I see you. You are going above and beyond as a parent. And even when it comes to lawyers, like I've talked to other lawyers who are men versus women, like a lot of men don't have it affect their career because they're like, well, that's the mom's job, or that it's the mom's job to do these, or the mom is the default parent, particularly
Mhm.
early years, which has never been it's seemingly your experience or your mindset. And so I think
Not at all.
you're a rare breed.
Not at all. And I have to give a shout out to my parents because that's how I was parented, right? So
uh,
I mean my dad worked a lot,
yeah,
but I don't think I remember him missing a baseball game or basketball game or whatever the case is.
yeah,
I remember being home with my mom
yeah,
because she was a stay-at-home mom at the time, which meant my dad was working to take care of three kids and a wife.
right,
But at the end of the day, still didn't miss any sports, any games, parent teacher conferences. Sometimes I remember my parents would have parent teacher conferences, and I, as the student, would not know. They were like, "Oh yeah, your parents are coming in today." I'm like,
yeah,
"What?" So that's the kind of parent I try to be, which is
yeah,
I'm looking at her grades online every other day, if not every day. I'm emailing the teachers, asking questions. I'm showing up at the school for the school functions and all of those things. Partly because I also want her to have those memories, like I was there.
yeah,
Um, but at the same time, that's how I grew up, and I am not going to forsake that for work because the reality is, as a licensed attorney, I'm a walk-in business,
yeah,
right? I don't think I will ever have the mindset that I need someone else to employ me for
yeah,
me to be there for my kid or do things for my kid.
yep,
I will hustle for it if I got to.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. We share that same mindset. Agreed 100%. The good thing about having a law degree is you could start working tomorrow without anybody hiring you.
yeah,
Realistically, you don't want to have to. Um,
right.
I mean, unless that's your passion, but you can. Um, Brian, what would you tell a young lawyer? We have a lot of young lawyer listeners, people who are in law
Mhm.
school even, who are thinking about starting a family, maybe not now, but in a couple years. What would you tell them, or what do you wish somebody would have told you?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think I wish somebody would have told me that practicing as a parent is, how do I put this? Practicing as a parent is tireless and thankless work.
Yeah.
It truly is. And being a parent is thankless. Being a lawyer is tiring. And
Hmm.
when you put the two together, I don't think anybody could have even prepared me for how tired and how I'm gonna say underappreciated, but it's not the negative connotation that you're thinking of.
Yeah.
How tired and how underappreciated I would be as a dad who is a lawyer.
Yeah.
But I will also say the hard work that I put in during law school and those first couple years of practice and learning how to do things, asking questions, made it so that any other lawyer that I've brought into my personal circle outside of work also understands and is also so willing to help alleviate the burden that I'm like, oh, I would have never asked you to, but I'm glad that you see me as both a human being, a parent, and a lawyer to say, yeah, Keenan was with us in law school. That's like my little niece. I'll watch her for a couple hours.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna go to sleep, but that's fine. Um, I would suggest to or offer the advice to any young attorney who's thinking about starting a family to really consider what kind of parent you want to be.
Yeah, that's so
Like
good.
that's the consideration because when a child comes, you're going to be a parent. I mean, that's going to be a fact. But what kind of parent you want to be is going to dictate, well, I won't say dictate, it's going to heavily influence the kind of practice you participate in or however you want to practice law. And it'll also influence the decisions you make as a lawyer. Like
Yeah.
some people want to travel across the country for work. Not me. I will travel across the country for vacation, but not for work. So yeah, that's what I would say. Consider the kind of parent you want to be.
Oh, that is such good advice. I actually may just steal that one. I was going to give my own, but that is so good because that is the number one factor that has kind of led me to where I am right now is the type of parent that I want to be. So like I am on Instagram a lot and I'll post like things that me and my son are doing. I am a very active and involved parent, as are you. Like I want to fill my son's life with experiences. Like he has a very rich life at 4. We are always doing something, some kind of activity, something that he can learn and be exposed to new things through. Something that I'm extremely passionate about. And everybody on Instagram will always send me these, like, oh, you're such a good mom. You're such a good mom. Little posts and things. Share this with a good mom. I'll get those. And I always say, yeah, because I know my capacity. I'm one and done so that I can be this type of mom. I'm a
Yeah,
really good mom, and I also am a really good attorney. And I also have all these other relationships that I'm juggling. And so, in
hmm
order for me to fill my son's life with all these rich experiences and do all of these things that I know that I want to give him, I can't juggle a whole bunch of kids and a career. That's just
that's
not
a fact.
reality. I know that I can't. I don't have the capacity for it. And so it's like,
Right.
for me, if I'm going to have way more kids, then I know that I'm going to have to sacrifice my career. I felt that very early on when I had my son. Like I had postpartum depression really bad. And
hmm
I saw then how it impacted my career from me going back to work after 8 weeks of being off work after I had my son and them deciding to take certain cases away from me and, doing certain things that they felt that I couldn't handle because I was now a mom. I know that being a parent impacts your law career.
Yeah.
And so I've decided for me, in order for me to be this type of mom, one that is fully engaged and can also like be a good lawyer too, and be a good me, like whether that's a part of the law or not, like I know my capacity. know,
Yeah.
know your
Yeah.
limits. Like there's so many
Yeah.
people who are just having kids for the sake of having kids or having kids for their kid. And again, handing them a tablet and moving on.
Yep. hmm
That's not the type of parent I want to be. And
Right.
so, yeah, know the type of parent you want to be and know your capacity, learn your capacity.
Yeah.
if you don't, I guess would be my second piece of advice that I would give. Is this is it just is really important for you to understand like what you're getting yourself into when you are hopping into law and family is a lot. And a lot of lawyers that I looked up to are now divorced or have some type of health issue, as a result of trying to balance the stress. Also,
Yeah,
same, like I have now an autoimmune disease as a result of trying to give the law 150% and all this stuff. I'm not there anymore. I'm
yeah,
not in that place where I'm willing to compromise my health for
yeah.
that.
I would say if I had to pick between being stressed as a parent and stressed as a lawyer, I'm picking the stress as a parent every time, every
Same.
single time.
Same.
And similar to you, it's just kind of at the point where, I don't have to sacrifice my relationships for work because I am I'm a walking business if I choose to be. Um,
Yep.
and so that kind of mindset has led me to instill in my kid as well. Like, listen, you can do whatever it is that you want to do,
Yep.
whatever it is. If I tell you that I don't agree, you can still do it. But I'm saying consequences. There's results that come behind whatever it is you decide to do. But that
Yep.
doesn't mean you can't do it.
Yep.
But there's going to come a day as a parent, every parent, there's going to come a day where our children no longer have us. And so if I can teach you the hard way, so to speak, early on what to do when you don't know what to do, all right, you'll be fine. Like you'll
Yeah.
be okay. So yeah, that's what I parenting and lawyering, how they go together and all of that jazz. It's a interesting relationship between the two for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you so much for taking this time out. Before we go, I have the 5 minute speed round questions. It probably won't even be 5 minutes because I've reduced it to three for the time. The fun questions that I always ask whenever I have a guest on, just because I like to hear how people's
Okay.
brains work. Okay, so the fun round. If you could add any objection to the list of objections that already exist in court, what would it be and why?
Man,
As petty or as
objection.
shady as you want it to be.
Listen, objection because that's just dumb. That's stupid. I'm objecting because that's stupid. Like that if that was it, that's all I would have to say. Like that is just dumb. Anyway.
That's good. I had Cameron Red on here. He was like, objection, he lying. Your Honor, this man is lying. Get him up out of here. So, objection, that's stupid.
Yeah, objection. That's stupid.
Okay, the next one. If you could go back and do it all over again, like starting back, going back to
Mhm.
undergrad and making the steps forward, would you choose law again or would you choose something else?
I only chose law because somebody said I couldn't do it and I just wanted to prove them wrong. So I would absolutely choose something else. I started out as a biology major, planning to go to med school, the whole nine.
What?
And I had a professor who was like, yeah, I don't think you do well in law school. I'm like, all right, bet. Try me. And so here I am.
That's crazy. I did not know that about you.
Yes. Yeah. So I would absolutely, if I did it all over, I would choose something else.
Would you go down the medical route?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, the last one. If you could choose one song that would drop every single time you walked into the courtroom or into the office, if you're not in the courtroom that much, one theme song as you're about to duke it up with your opponent, what would it be? As ratchet as you want.
The first thing that popped into my head was throw it off.
Okay. What?
I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Because after or before every single 1L exam, that was all I played in my headphones on repeat on
What?
exam day. Yes. Just to get myself into this mood. All right, I know this, and ain't nobody gonna tell me that I don't.
Okay.
Sometimes I come back with a little bad grade or whatever, so I probably didn't know it like I should, but I was at least in the mindset like, all right, if we got to argue about this, we gonna argue about it. So
Okay.
that's what I got.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. Mine has been bone crusher, never scared.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
I like that. And I like to hype myself up to tell me I ain't scared when really my heart be pounding a little bit.
That's a good one.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Brian. I really appreciate your time. Thank
Yeah.
you for listeners for tuning in to another episode. And as usual, I will see y'all next time. All right. I'm
Thanks.